Hey everybody, I'm Aaron Baker,
I'm Ryan Bailey.
and this is the Elevate and Explore podcast. Today we have a special guest, LeRome Swiss. Appreciate you coming on here and talking with us.
Yes, happy to be here.
Awesome. So you were just down in Tulum, celebrating the blood moon. Tell us a little bit about that trip and all experiences you had. I saw your posts on Instagram. It looked absolutely gorgeous down there.
Yes.
What was the highlight of the trip? Being out in the outdoors that just made it awesome for you.
Well, really just being there with my fiance and nurturing our relationship with Alex and Love after our amazing breakthrough experience. And really the main highlight was us experiencing the full moon eclipse, and then it turned into this blood moon when it covered the moon, and it turned into this red Dragon Ball like being that was just up in the sky around like 1 a.m. Thursday night. So it was pretty powerful, and to experience all that around the beaches, and yeah, it's just a magical experience, eating dinner with the full moon rising by the ocean and then experiencing that eclipse. So it's one of the most powerful full moons I've ever experienced.
That's awesome. How long have you been engaged?
We've been engaged since last Burning Man, so I will say about a half year now.
Very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
So with Luna, I was telling Ryan a little bit last week when we were talking about bringing you on, and I was talking a little bit about manifesting. I remember the story, at the breakthrough event, you were talking about the tattoo you have on your chest or on your stomach. That what was it, like 8 years ago? You got a tattoo of Mother Earth, I think you said.
Yeah, like Mama Ayahuasca, pretty much, just reflecting. Okay. Yeah, like I don't know if the camera will allow me to show, but it's, let me see. It's pretty much, I got nature here. She's representing nature, holding the flower of life here at the bottom. And really just ayahuasca for me was also a very powerful medicine to just get to know my different fears of deaths and all the different fears that were residing in my body, so I can really work on myself more. Really, so much came up, and I'm like, okay, so there's still a lot of room to grow, and it's been very, yeah,
awesome.
And Luna, it was just like this. Without realizing, I attracted my goddess Luna that literally looks like Mama Ayahuasca on my stomach.
That's amazing. Seeing it there in person, and then seeing her there, like it's absolutely amazing. How you did that 8 years ago, and here you are. You met the woman of your dreams, but you already had her on you 8 years ago. Yeah. That's, I fully believe in the manifesting. That's amazing.
Yeah, powerful indeed.
Yes.
Now the breakthrough journey or the breakthrough trip was the event down in Florida, correct?
Correct. Okay.
Very nice. And you have any takeaways from that trip? I know Aaron's told me a little bit about it, but it sounded quite exciting.
It's real estate has been on my mind for so long, but it was almost a part of that untapped potential that I didn't really fully grasp. And to then realize that it's so much more to just real estate. It's also the real estate of the heart, it's a part of the journey of financial freedom in this physical space. So to have brothers and sisters fully tapped into that realm and sharing their codes within the proximity of each other is it's pretty amazing. So
real estate, it's an ongoing thing. I think about it all the time, just driving around, especially the Atlanta area is absolutely booming right now, and I'm sure where you're at in South Florida, it's incredible. And there's always something to learn. And then the networking side of it, I mean, you guys are living testimony to it, is like once you get a couple minds together that have that ideal goal and vision, and it's just like you're off to the races. So that kind of ties with my question is, when you met Luna, did she have some of that manifesting principle that she was looking for somebody like you? And what's her side of the story, I guess?
Well, I'm sure she could share it in a much more profound way, but she was at Burning Man the year before and kind of just, sat within the manifestation of already being there with her other side. So which I was doing in my own way, is really just loving ourselves truly where we are in the moment, and in a sense living our dream day pattern no matter where we go. And that's how we then attracted each other, is really just her doing her somatic release workshop, and then I was in that time I was filming my first movie. It's called Godhead, where I had my first main role, and it's going to come out either this year or beginning of next year. And I walked in with the whole filming crew, and she was walking out of that same house we were filming in after her doing her somatic release workshop. And that's when we first met each other. And it's just a reflection of really just doing what you love at all times, like kind of focusing on our passion bodies. And then when you're aware past all the distractions that are out there, then you do get to see the people you're meant to meet, from your other half to the right friends to the support. It's all there, and we just have to notice it amidst all the distractions.
It's absolutely a fact, and I think a law of life at this point is like, if you can see something and you desire something and you can imagine it, you can almost touch it, feel it, taste it. It's only a matter of time before it comes to you, as long as you're making the right steps and choices to get that outcome. And I think similarly, I like to travel. I used to be considered nomadic. I've lived in a fifth wheel all over the country. And at one point I said, I need to change my life. I need to do something different. And I gave up a really nice job. I gave up a lot of good people. I sat with thoughts. I didn't go to Burning Man to sit, and I didn't have a lightning bolt through the chest of what I needed to do next. But I thought that it's like, I want to be here. I want to do this. I want to do this. And within like 3 months, it's just snap of a finger. Here's the opportunity. Are you going to take it or not? And I ended up just completely changing my life in a matter of weeks and months. So it's absolutely relatable, and I think it's a great story. I think there's a ton of untapped potential, not only in real estate, but also in manifesting and understanding your passions and understanding yourself.
Yeah, just staying open-minded and keeping your eyes open to opportunities and not having a closed mind, thinking that this is what I actually need. Maybe you might come along something, that you weren't necessarily chasing, but you see an opportunity like, this might be good for me. I've kind of been doing that a little bit, just trying to be way more open-minded, and just one thing that's really been helping me lately is I've been really following my gut with just little decisions. I just recently been having these, I should probably go to this place tonight. I went to that place that night. I met an amazing person that I'm going to make a great connection with for real estate. Hadn't I followed my gut, I wouldn't have went and met that person. So anymore, I'm fully believing in, following your gut, following your intuition, following what you feel is the path, and things are just falling into place.
Yeah, it's like the breadcrumbs of God, listening to that whisper, and then just fully trusting that each step that you take is the right one, no matter how intense it may feel, moving through whatever emotions come up and just going for it,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was just trying to talk. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, you had mentioned you were in a movie. Were you an actor, or was this part of your music?
Well, music has always been my priority bubble, where I have lots of songs. I'm currently releasing a song every month, and that over the last 8 years when I was living in LA, I created up to like 100+ songs with amazing producers and songwriters. And yeah, through the music, through the dream weaving of the musical space, I met a director and just nurtured that relationship, became friends. And then he called me in to do my first acting job. So I have my first movie as a main role actor. So that's like almost like a side venture that opened up naturally by itself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to open up more doors once the movie is out. And I even have up to like 8 songs on the movie. So
Awesome.
Amazing. Well, now what was your original journey, learning that you love music, you wanted to be a musician? Can you dig a little into that?
well, yeah, the main journey, I mean, it's growing up in Switzerland with my mother being a song coach, hearing about my dad being signed to Dr. Dre in the beginning, and then he was signed to Akon at one point, and just,
Wow.
hearing him do all these things. So when I moved to America to learn English in Atlanta, I went through the whole Georgia State University portal, got my bachelor in computer information system, but always knew I have to go after this music, that the passion that I know since a little kid. I've just known I want to sing and I want to share my love through my voice. And really that got me to LA. And I've went basically through that threshold of leaving Switzerland behind and then leaving ATL behind to make it to LA. And then that opened up a whole world of new creations with amazing artists and producers and DJs. And I moved through soul urban space. Then I went full on electronic mode. And then since the whole pandemic, I kind of left humanity, went to the redwoods, learned to love myself again, and had to relearn how to cry and really balance that feminine with the masculine and meet in the middle. And really learn, that I'm of value, that I'm worthy of the abundance that this world has to offer. And then when the throat singing came in the beginning of 21, just being in the redwoods away from it all, I now create music with all of those genres I mentioned before, with a spiritual twist. So me and my fiance have a group called Infinite Heart, and we basically create meditative rave experiences and also do self-love mirror workshops where I share sound integration after with my looper. So, kind of all over the place, but finding that middle thread through it all, because we are everything. And it's been a very interesting journey. And yeah, so LeRome Swiss is my artist name. Then we got Infinite Heart, and Luna has her own world with Luna Chi. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's
So
cool that you also have that commonality of you both have a love for music.
Yeah.
You both are on very similar paths, so I'm sure that helps amazingly well in the relationship.
Yeah, I've always like felt that music is pretty much one of the main manifestation tools that is used against humanity. So I never wanted to take the shortcut like a lot of my brothers and sisters that are just doing what the collective wants to hear. Now the money's there and everything's there, but something always felt wrong about taking that shortcut. And because I've noticed that, everything that I sing about in my songs actually comes to fruition. So I just started creating music to help me move through these thresholds and raise my, frequencies, and then move through these chapters in my being. And so yeah, there was a part of me that of course wanted to get label support and all these things, but every time it's something like that presented itself, it had this dark taste, this little hint of darkness hidden behind whatever. I just felt it. And so that the authentic and generic route was just keep recording music that I love, keep creating what I truly feel will change not only my life but everyone's lives that is listening to it, and really initially make it easier for the children and all the people listening to it to manifest greatness in their lives. So it's a journey.
Yeah.
You had brought up a great a great point about, trying to take some time and go seek nature, go out to the redwoods and try and find yourself. And then also telling yourself, I'm valuable, I'm worthy, I'm decent, I'm good, I'm kind, all these things. And then you made mention about taking a shortcut. And I think it goes without saying that there is nothing good that can be formed with a shortcut. And, whether we talk about building a business from the ground up, or we talk about scaling and refining an existing business, or we talk about refining ourselves as people, there's very few times where taking a shortcut will actually get you where you want to be faster. It may be a very short stint of, look what I did in such, short time, but that longevity, the sustainability of it, and actually, telling yourself over a course of 5 years per se, or however long that time frame is, of you're good, you're kind, you're worthy, and building that solid foundation from the ground up. That's truly, I think, a great takeaway. It's relatable for me. I've cussed and cursed about things not taking or not being as fast as I wanted them to go, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, this is really rewarding. Just taking the time, learning it slow, being consistent, being determined and dedicated, and persevering through every single one of those struggles, knowing that if you took a shortcut, yeah, you might get there short term, but how do you hold on to that for the life? That's the goal. And especially when we talk about spirituality of it, this is not just while we're on earth, we're going to make it worthwhile. It's also the afterlife, whatever comes next.
Yeah, and also the shortcut, you'd mentioned you would almost have to give up a part of yourself. You couldn't be your true authentic self through your music, how you want to be. Yes, you could have that shortcut, but you would have to change the way you really want to do things. And, that's no way to live, to not fully live and be able to be your true authentic self all the time, almost putting on a show just to become something you're not. So that's really respectable that you choose to do things your true authentic way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how it goes. Like, for an older version of me, that may have been fine, but we grow so much through these years that, yeah, it's just, you notice that if an older version of me would have gotten that acknowledgement of being signed by a label, or having this, just this huge investment into the music so I can be heard by the collective ear. But then it's also, if it doesn't happen effortless with reflections that truly see the vision that I'm here to share with humanity through the art of music, then it didn't feel real. It felt more like a facade, and almost like, it almost felt like not being true to the purpose I came to this planet for this time around. So yeah,
you're being true to the outcome, not to the purpose.
Yeah, to the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
And we all kind of feel into that bigger picture as well. It's we're here to share the love. We're here to share the bliss with the children. However, each one of us share our gifts and then pass that on. And if we pass on like older selves, it's not wrong. But if we grow and you see that growth, you want to go explore what else is there, So I've just been exploring, been finding myself even more every year. And now I'm more ready than ever for the collective ear to receive what I have to share when it does happen.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, have you always been a spiritual person? Is that something you found later in life? Talk about a little bit about that.
Well, to me, being a spiritual person, that was quite foreign, that term. I was always interested in like, nature, and being in the bliss of it all, growing up snowboarding and skiing, and that like just away from it all, that. So I didn't know that was considered spiritual in a way, just, it was just a part of my being. And I believe I wasn't conscious of my spiritual self until the whole pandemic came, and I chose not to get the vaccine. I chose not to be in the cities where everybody was feeding the fears of whatever was happening, and still honoring all of our brothers and sisters that chose to do what was being told. It was really just finding the love for everyone, myself first, and everyone that decided, you know, and the art of breath, you know, like really started doing breath work every day, ice baths, um, breathing, doing breath work with the sunset and the sunrises, and even I've done the breath work with an elk up in the redwoods before. It's
Oh,
just
cool.
like with whoever I get to breathe, and then and you know, the throat singing, once it came in, I was like, whoa, it's a whole new portal that opened. And I do remember when I was in my rave body, like I saw a monk, like one of the raves in Switzerland over 10 years ago. There was a monk that came in and did all this throat singing stuff, and I remember just absorbing that. And then 5-6 years later, now I'm throat singing in the middle of nature, and it just came randomly. And for me, it was mainly the journey of losing my fear of death, connected to losing my voice. So like, oh, what happens if I lose my voice and then I have to go on stage? And what if my voice isn't back yet? So I was really just learning how to consciously lose my voice with scream therapy, with just loud singing around the fires, running barefoot, and really just exhausting my voice to a point where I can't speak anymore. And then I will go into silence and learn to consciously get my voice back by really nurturing myself, cooking for myself, drinking lots of tea with ginger, honey, and lemon, and really kind of the spa life, like put it and embrace the spa life. And then usually it takes a day or two, and then my voice is back. And it was a nice practice. So to keep continuously and consciously lose my voice and then get it back, and then lose my voice and get it back. And then after doing that repetition multiple times, that's when the throat singing came in.
What age were you when you, or like how long ago was it that you left Switzerland?
Well, it's a good 15 plus years ago. So I grew up speaking Swiss German and German in Zurich, and then I moved to Atlanta right before, you know, like for my senior high school year. And then you know, just, you know, again, went through my soul urban stage, where in the beginning I didn't even accept electronic music. And it was very funny, once I opened up to the electronic music, it also opened up a whole new portal of opportunities. So even keeping ourselves limited to certain genres will keep us in a certain box for a while. And I've just been exploring different boxes of genres, which open up different parts of my life as well. So each genre has something we can learn from.
Yeah, I think that's a really good metaphor for, I mean, life in general. So many people, not just music, but just certain ways of living your life. A lot of people just think the way they live their life is the right way. I used to be like that, and I opened myself up, and I started meeting people from all sorts of different walks of life, and it's so cool, what different cultures have, and even just different places in the United States, people, how they live, down the deep south, how they live out west, how they live in the inner city. So every different genre, every person, I guess you could say, everybody has so much to offer, and you can learn so many things when you open up your ears and you listen to what other people have to say, and open your eyes and see how there's more ways to live than just the way you live. I think a lot more people need to experience that, and stop being so closed-minded.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a self-service thing of it's my way, it's the only way I know, and you get so limited by that, and it's very hard to help anybody if you don't know how to relate to somebody else. And whether we're talking about touching somebody else music wise, maybe everybody's got a different playing and genre, but if we stay in small town mindset or just whatever we know, it's very hard to reach out and meet people and try new things, experience new things, and actually live life to the fullest.
Yeah. And I've also come to be okay with people's choices to live within certain boxes. It's almost this practice of surrender, like knowing that everybody's living their dream right now, no matter where. Like,
Yeah,
because I was, in a sense, living my dream when I was there as well. And then you can only live your dream as far as your capacity goes. So the more I explored, the bigger my capacity of this, and the grander scale of life opened up for me, and the more manifestations came through. So really, like, also honoring that all the artists that are out there right now are rocking it in the world.
sure.
That's all they know. And some artists, are a bit more lower frequency, but that's, for them, that's the dream. That's all they grew up around. So it's not wrong. And then there's just this invitation that, hey, let's explore what else we can bring through. And is it really helping children live a manifestful life, or are we sharing music from more of a pain body and in a struggle mentality in a way, or just, which is okay. Like I said, it's okay to a certain degree to share your struggles and the way you live, and also just to remember that whatever our kids listen to, they will manifest everything they repeat over and over. So I've
Mhm.
manifested all of the dark things that music brought to me, but also all the good things. So it's like we get to consciously choose what music is serving my manifestation, part of life. Like, what is it that I want to manifest into my life, and let me listen to music that supports that, or not. And
Well,
the or
that's a
not is fine too.
That's a fantastic point. And I think just before you jumped on the call, I was briefly sharing with Aaron some of my reflections just from the past couple days of how do I go from being in a really good mood and everything's going well, and the moment something bad happens, it just all goes to crap. And I used, past, say, year, I was really good at journaling and writing stuff down, and the context in which you write stuff down out of your mind is a really good thing to look back on, because I'd be like, well, why am I always getting into these sad moments? And I look back into what I was writing down a year ago, and there was no real good meat and potatoes of anything good. I didn't write good thoughts. I didn't write the blessings. I didn't write the things I enjoyed. I was just writing down the stuff that made me upset, ultimately just feeding more anger and sadness, and, just really putting myself into the line of fire of making myself feel bad, or making myself, not respect all the blessings I have around. And that was powerful to sit and see that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you're
just
kind
a
of
fair of
just
that.
go ahead, LeRome.
It's just a fair share of that. I agree. It's like whatever we put out, it will come back, and then we get the choice to shift that or go in a loop until we choose ourselves to get out of that. So in a way, everybody is living their dream, as far as the mind goes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. You
Everybody's living their own dream in their own way, and who are
yeah,
we to say that their dream is right or wrong or
exactly.
whatever?
That's why I like to believe that everybody is living their best lives in that very moment, no matter how tough it may be. And then we get the invitation together to expand our shared dream, which is really freedom, right? Freedom of speech, freedom of reach, freedom of expression, freedom of creation, connecting all of the new technologies with the nature, so Mother Earth, won't retaliate as she's done for eons, when we get too crazy here on this planet. So really just, being more conscious together as a one, and have, but also not expecting anything from anyone. Really just being here, doing what we love, and people either get it, like, or catch that drift or not.
have music, choice of words, or voice. It's whatever you're putting out there. It's either gonna, some one person might be upset by it, but it could absolutely change somebody else's life. I'm sure some of the songs that you write are impacting so many without you even knowing about it. Much like, some of these conversations where, putting it out there for somebody to someday see.
Yes.
Yeah, everything we put out, maybe some, most people won't like it, but our goal is, if we can reach one person, make a positive impact in one person's life, change their life. That's what it's all about. Putting our experiences, putting our trials and tribulations out there. What we've learned, what other people, bringing people like you on here, share your experiences. It's just trying to reach people and make changes in people's lives. That's what I think. That's what life is all about, is trying to put yourself out into the world and help your fellow man, help the people around you. That's something I've been slowly learning. Is I always used to just be about me, me, me. I don't care what happens to anybody else or how other people's lives are going. I mean, to a degree, but I never really thought of maybe I can make change in someone's life just by having a simple conversation and putting it out there. That's kind of what we're doing right now is all about, is these little things to make little changes in people
and ourselves ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything
and what's funny is that it's okay to be selfish to a certain degree, right? Like I always say, wake up and focus on yourself first, and when your cup is full, that's when you go out there and share with a full cup instead of a half.
Yes.
So it's like kind of a part of the day. It's okay to be selfish, and then when you're like, I'm good now, any interaction you have with whoever, you can share a little bit of your light with them, and elevate their spirit to the next stage, and just fill their hearts up because you're coming in with a full cup.
Certainly. Yeah, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else, unless you take care of yourself. Good example I always like is, when you're in an airplane, put your face mask on before you put on someone else's. If you're not fully able to breathe and live, how are you supposed to help, the person next to you?
Nice principle. Yeah.
So you talk about living a pretty nomadic lifestyle. You're not really settled down anywhere. Do you ever have do you have a dream or somewhere that you think you eventually want to settle down, or you just plan on doing this nomadic lifestyle and just seeing how things go and where you end up?
Well, my mother's in Zurich, Switzerland. My father and my 4 siblings are in Atlanta. I have 1 sister in Boston, so I'll always be traveling nomadic. And my fiance's family is here in South Florida. Her mother just bought land in Costa Rica, so we'll be able to support that one as well. And Costa Rica feels like a tropical Switzerland to me, which has always been a dream. So to me, I think it's we're open to whatever comes and opens up for us, and we're really just traveling to wherever we're called in to share our music and our gifts and our workshops. South Florida feels good for now to find a nice space to call home here. And really just keeping an open mind at all times and not getting too comfortable with what is, always working on the step by step of the bigger vision and visions that we have and dreams. And a big dream is buying some personal land in Costa Rica and building my bliss family home, but not just for families. Like you have a family home here, but then a home, build a house here and here, one for men's work, one for women's work. And then a community portal where after the women have done their work and the men have done their work, we get together and dance it out and eat together and really just a kind of community type lifestyle where you just surround yourself around brothers and sisters that are sharing the vision, and really just creating safety for the women and the children with men, reflections that are also choosing to work on themselves. So it's safe, Now,
you had brought up a point quite a few minutes ago now, but in some of your reflection of trying to find the balance between femininity and masculinity, and I think a lot of our I think I saw the statistic on our podcast the other day that most of our viewers are men, and talking about the outdoors is definitely favored by everyone. But when we talk about being a man or a male, I think this is one of our top views of what does it take to be a man. So in your opinion, what is some of the femininity side and what is some of the masculine side that you really have to find equal balance between?
Well, I've always been, I will say from the masculine end, it's, you know, my primal way of getting to my throat singing was really just barefoot hikes, running up mountaintops, watching the sunrises or sunsets, and really just, you know, moving through, being one with nature, screaming as loud as I can, make fires. You know, that to me is like the primal male, like just like like screaming and just not caring what others think of how loud you are, and learning to lose those shadows of being too loud or being too much in this world. And then the feminine aspect is like, all right, let me go into silence, let me cook for myself, let me nurture myself with tea, and really also take a nice ice bath, and then maybe sauna, or like a you know, warm bath. But like all these things more are considered on the feminine side, and also the, you know, just learning to cry again. I literally had to learn to cry again, because I'm like, when was the last time I cried? And that was like early 2020. I'm like, man, I've been tough with myself, because it's not, you know, you a lot of us are taught to not cry because it's not, it's, you know, that's not strength. And then I had to almost, you know, break through those illusions to get to where I am. And I do believe a balanced masculine is also feeding the feminine side, and then you find a nice golden thread in the middle, you know, the middle ground. And that in a way is like what most will call a sacred masculine, is someone that really loves himself truly, but also doesn't shy down to protect. And, you know, that warrior spirit comes out, you know, like the fighting is always there, like fighting to support your family and then your kids, and but really not having to resort to that. That feels so been there, done that in many past lives, where we've killed to support our families and our children, but really learning to rewire that with other practices, like, hey, let's sit together in front of this fire, let's look into each other's eyes, and truly just see that we're all the same. We all want the same thing, no matter what color we are, what languages we are. We actually, if we're sitting in front of the fire together and maybe sing together or scream together or cry together, you will realize, oh, we're the same.
Yeah.
You know? And so those two sides, you know.
Yeah, I
two
just
sides to the coin.
You had brought that.
Yep, he faded out. I really like that you brought up the point of, the crying. I think it's so unfortunate, that us as men, we're taught from society at a young age that, boys don't cry, boys don't talk about their emotions. You got to be strong. You guys don't have feelings. You just gotta, brush everything off and keep on going. And I think, I did that I'm guilty of doing that for the longest time. I never dove deep into my feelings or really thought about, why this made me feel that way, or, being sad, or, feeling upset. And, since I learned to embrace my emotions and be aware of my emotions and be okay with, this made me sad, this made me upset, it's really changed my whole perspective on life. That I'm like, it's just brought this whole another level to my mindfulness. And more men need to be open to learning about themselves and being aware with their emotions and embracing their emotions.
So and so it shall be.
I think the great point about that, it hits home for me time and time again. I grew up without a father. I had a great positive role model as a grandfather, but the past 5 years of my life, it's like, what does it take to be a man? What does it take to be successful? What does it take to be driven? And that emotional aspect of, you carry the burden of so much, and you have your problems, your mom's problems, your family's problems, your sisters, brothers, whatever. You're maybe an older sibling. And it's like, you carry this. And sometimes you just need to go out into the woods, climb the highest point that you can, drive there, hike there, whatever, and just scream, cry, get it out, and show that you can relieve that. And, I think recently I've taken those emotions that I can't handle, and it's like I'm giving those to God, because I am not strong enough, I am not man enough, I am not good enough to handle those problems. I need some help. And okay, once I get that out and I come back to earth, it's like go sit around a fire, go talk to some people, realize that we are all in this together. We all have the same problems. We all struggle with things, and man to man or man to woman, the masculine side versus the feminine side, it's like we are all here to nurture each other in some way. I provide and protect, you support, love, nurture, kindness, from the women's side. And once you find that balance, it unlocks a whole new section of life. And you know, a lot of the times we may get frustrated with a partner, we may get frustrated with family or friends, and it's like they're going on with their own stuff, I'm going on with my stuff. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need to go scream and cry, or figure out how to cry again, and relieve some of that, to be able to see that, wait a minute, it's not all about us. It's a people thing. It's more than us. It's bigger than us. And to, in your case, go out and touch people through music and traveling, and the way that, you know, you've just talked in this podcast has been fantastic, that you're giving that best image of yourself, because you went through the struggle and the hardship of trying to find yourself, to be able to tell a story, or share words, or share something to help.
Yeah, and something beautiful is that nature is literally here to hold all of that pain and suffering that we've chosen to come here on this planet to go through, to become the version that is just waiting for each one of us on the other side of that pain, and of those fears of deaths and fears of whatever may have been absorbed throughout our journey. And nature is really there to hold us. And there's so many practices. I'm called to do definitely more men's work, through the art of breathing, through running to mountaintops, maybe even barefoot or not. But I went to Sacred Sons last year, so I feel called to work with them a bit more as well. And really just, yeah, men's work is important, for women's to do the women's work, but then also community work, where it's like a convergence of it all. And one of the big thresholds that I also realized that I'd love to share, I don't know how much more time we have here, but like when I was in the redwoods, I really learned to be out in nature, not just the daytime, but also in the night, without any artificial light. So if I had any light, I would have to make a fire, or else I'm just in pitch black darkness. And the emotions and fears that come up is so profound. And when I realized a lot of what we carry isn't even ours to begin with, it's stuff that we picked up. And when we move through those fears, and like fears that somebody may jump out, or who knows, you know, it's just so much that is within the darkness, even physical darkness, just being in nature without light. And like when you move through it, you realize like, oh, okay, that was there and now it's gone. And the more we do that, the more we allow nature to do the work with us, the more we heal, you know. And it's been a beautiful journey. And now being able to share that through the art of music and a voice and my being, it's an exciting time, and it just feels like another chapter. It's just beginning.
100%.
I texted Aaron a couple nights ago just the word confidence, and he immediately called me to talk about it. And it's like overcoming those fears and putting yourself in that position and learning something. That's confidence. That's the ability that you know yourself, you're true to yourself, and you can help others.
Yep. And I'm part of a worthy book club right now. Really, I didn't realize how deep the word worthy can go. Just knowing that I am worthy, we are worthy, I am enough, we are enough.
Yes.
It goes even as far as I am immortal. Like if my spirit and soul is immortal, what are we even worried about? Like, you know, let's just do the best of this life. We came here to live and really learn from those shadow happenings and move through the shadows. And there's light on the other side almost every time. But when we escape the shadows and run for it, it will come back in a loop until we pierce through the fears, you know? So it's quite a nice practice. And yeah, breaking the different death habits the deathless mentality that we've been prone to believe is huge, and there was a time we got to live hundreds of years, and we just forgot to live hundreds of years based on what thoughts we continue feeding every day as a collective. So
yeah,
living off of somebody or living for somebody else rather than living for yourself. That's where we lost a whole bunch of years. Some of these people you see, and it's all over the place now. They live to 100, they live to 105, and it's they thought they were gonna just keep on going. They kept that mindset, and they have a very long, happy, sustainable life. And
I believe more and more we'll see that more and more people will live into their hundreds. The more
yes,
the more healthy thoughts we feed and habits and passions, the longer people will live. The children that are coming to this planet now, they're so wise. They understand most of this without even speaking. They just are it, So it's important for us as in the older generations to really create a safe space for the children to really share their gifts in. But that's a big mission here with the music, to just kind of lay the foundation to lay the foundation for the children to really feel safe in. And I do believe the golden age is real and it's happening, and we're just in the beginning stage. So a lot of us came here to kind of usher the golden age in for all the children to be safe and happy in, and get to just be themselves no matter what.
yes. Building up the next generation, building the people that are coming up behind us, the next stewards of the world, make them be the best versions of themselves and grow the world to be a better place.
Sharing the bliss,
Yeah.
the bliss in however way possible. And I'd love to maybe do like a little 30 seconds to a minute throat singing activation here before we get off. So you two let me know. And that is another form of bliss sharing. And the throat singing, you can bring up things at times that people are like, oh, what is this? But it's also moving through that, and then just allowing your body to release whatever needs releasing.
Yeah, I'm glad you offered to do it, because I know Ryan probably, I don't know if he knows what throat singing is, and I was going to ask you, towards the end if you were willing to do that. So yeah, I'd love to, maybe close out that way. But we really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story with us. We love hearing all these stories. It's amazing. If people want to find you, and hear your music, where can they find you?
Anywhere in any musical platform, just put in LeRome Swiss, LEROME space Swiss SWISS, and Infinite Heart, Infinite INFINITE Heart. And on social media, I'm at LeRome Swiss, and me and my fiance shared Instagram is Infinite Heart with 2 eyes in the beginning. And I have up to like 50 to 60 songs on Spotify. I have about 20 music videos, and you can see all the different versions of me from my Casanova stage to like more so being in nature.
Okay.
And I always believe that it's okay to leave older versions of me on the net, because it shows the elevation of where I moved through, and that nobody's doing anything wrong. Like, I've been there, done that in so many ways, and we're all just reflecting each other,
Yeah.
So,
no reason to be ashamed or embarrassed of your past. It's the reason why you are where you are today. So that's highly respectable.
Yeah. And the newest song just released on the full moon called Reste Toi. It's with a brother from Congo, and Congo is one of those main hubs. The war has been going on for the past 20 years because the resources there on each one of our phones and electronic devices. So the Western world has been keeping that war going, or else once Congo realizes how important their land is, all of our devices will be more expensive. So they want to keep that war going. So it was nice to create a song with a brother from there, and he sang in Lingala. The hook is in French, and I did a little English version, and then it's just like also ending all the wars. It's a part of the bigger picture as well.
Yes.
through the music and really helping the children wherever we go in this world. So yeah. And with the throat singing, can I do a quick sample and then you let me know if you hear it? Because sometimes the mic blocks
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
certain sounds. So let me know if you hear the full. I'm gonna do like 10 seconds and then you let me know if you heard it. All right. And then I can do a little proper transmission after.
Yep, go for it.
Whoa.
It unfortunately blocked a decent amount out. Did it block it out for you, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny how it's something I honestly don't even know how to.
Do you have an iPhone?
I'm doing it on the MacBook Pro right here.
I don't know if MacBook has it, but typically the Apple products have a voice isolation, which cancels out a lot of your background noise, and usually most
Okay,
anything
so
that
studio sound filters out sounds from your mic that isn't speech. Take that off.
Yeah.
Can you hear this now?
Yes.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, brothers, for inviting me. You know, as a 5-1 projector, it's all about waiting for an invitation and then, you know, saying yes or no. So I appreciate you calling me in.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Pleasure to meet you, and amazing story you have. So it's truly appreciated to share that.
Thank you. And tune in to all the music. I'm here for any feedback. And there's so much more nature adventures that, you know, are bound to happen. And maybe one day we can do something together in nature. And it's, again, just another beginning. It's a beautiful time to be alive. So I'm gonna do a quick 1 minute and then we can call it, all right?
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
One of my favorite mantras is Om Namaha Shivaya. Om for infinite being, Namaha for infinite manifestation, and Shivaya for infinite intelligence. And I've been repeating that over and over as many times throughout the day to kind of cancel out all the unhealthy thoughts that aren't serving my body, my Merkaba field, you know, the energy around. So it's almost like a protection spell to keep all the BS out that's not serving us. So I like to share that. So Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Dum 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 dum. And so it is.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
LeRome, can I ask a question? Do you have that recorded somewhere, say on YouTube?
I have a song called Om Namah Shivaya on Spotify, and it's more in the electronic field. But when you listen to it twice, it'll go through 108, you know, repetitions minimum, which is you know, the more from the Buddhist side is it takes 108 repetitions of a mantra or of your favorite, you know, sentence that reinforces, you know, the love and the spirit. So it's kind of just a reinforcing of protection to whatever thoughts aren't serving your body. But yeah, Om Namah Shivaya is on Spotify, and yeah, you can find it all there. It's so much to listen to and sort through.
If I can find it, are you good with us putting a clip in this video with you know, say the beginning audio?
Of course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna
look. Share with Aaron to make it easier for you if you don't see it pop up right now.
Okay. Yeah,
that'd be great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We'll edit that in and start that off with the beginning of our podcast.
Awesome. Love you
Yeah.
too so much. It's been a blessing, and happy blessings to you too.
Absolutely.
And until we speak again, and I know my fiance is excited to drop in as well.
Yes.
She has so much magic to share. Maybe one day we can get on together as well. And
Yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, it's a beautiful journey to be a part of here, and
We definitely appreciate it.
interweaving our dreams together.
That's right.
Yes. One web at a time. Thank you, LeRome. We greatly appreciate it. You have a great night.
You too.
Thanks, LeRome. Enjoy.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed that. That was awesome.
Absolutely. That was great.
All right. Well, we will catch you on our next episode. Thank you for listening.